Alright, we're making a return to Historic today, the format that started off this channel, and we're looking at a deck that's all about vampires. Now, you're not seeing double. I did actually just put a Timeless Vampire Tribal deck up on the channel, but this is kind of a different take on vampires itself. Where I first saw this deck was actually on the ladder playing the other vampire deck, and this just happened to be what I played for the mirror. And despite being the quote-unquote mirror match, this is a quite different deck when it comes to game plan and what you're trying to do. Obviously no Sorin in this deck, but what instead we're running is Roaming Throne, a 4-mana golem from the March of the Machine, not March of the Machines, from this set. And basically it is a Panharmonicon for a certain creature type that you get to choose. And that's obviously pretty cool because a lot of our ETB vampires are going to get doubled and hopefully become way more valuable as a result. So Roaming Throne, doubling all these ETBs, it has Word 2, which is pretty sweet, and it just happens to be a pretty good blocker. So we're always really happy to have this no matter what the situation on the board is. Elenda the Dusk Rose from original Ixalan is a card that more or less sees play in Commander, like casual Commander I'd say. But we're going to try to run her today. When another creature dies, not necessarily on your side of the battlefield, you put a 1/1 counter on her. Because it's a triggered ability, that will trigger double when you have one or more Roaming Thrones on the battlefield, so that's pretty sweet. And when she dies, she has a separate trigger to create X 1/1 vampire tokens, where X is her power. So actually, she can then become a very, very valuable creature if you have Roaming Throne on, and she sticks around for a little bit. So she'll be a really good card to play. Only one of them, since obviously she's legendary and pretty far up the curve, so that's not going to be the main game plan. Another thing that will not necessarily come up that much is Preacher of the Schism, a 3-mana 2/4 that whenever it attacks the most healthy player, so if you are having less life than your opponent, you do get to create some tokens, so that can be doubled. And when you have the most life, then you get to draw a card and lose a life. So this is pretty sweet. 2 cards for an attack from a 3/3 is like pretty sweet. And then being able to make a bunch of creatures with lifelink is super amazing. So this one gets very, very good if we have one or more Roaming Thrones. Now let's go on to the things that I'm playing more or less full copies of. Well, okay, let's talk about some of these other things first. Fatal Push, got to be able to remove creatures. This is going to help with Elenda as well. Unearth allows us to get back some of our 3 drops or less, which is going to be very impactful, as you'll see. And then Village Rites, another way to sack our own creatures in order to draw 2 cards. Because we make a lot of tokens, basically through Preacher, through Sanguine Evangelist, and then I guess Bloodghast kind of counts as a expendable creature. Village Rites is a pretty good card for us, and it can be casted instant speed. Okay, so let's take a look at the rest of these creatures that we're playing 4 of. Legion Reconsecrator, one of the alchemy cards. On ETB, you can exile a card from a graveyard, not necessarily yours, and you get a duplicate that is a 3/1. And then when it dies, you can return creature cards with power or toughness 1 from your graveyard to the battlefield. So you'll see a lot of the cards that we're playing right now just happen to have this 1 power or toughness, just kind of naturally. But Legion Reconsecrator can actually make our Roaming Throne and our Preacher of the Schism 1 toughness as well. So we'll be able to get those back for, not too much of a downside. Pretty cool card. Every time I've played with this, it's been nice, especially when games go long. The main combo card in this deck, if you can call it a combo, this kind of just helps our aggro game plan, is Sanguine Evangelist, which basically makes a 1/1 bat on the way in and again on the way out. And it has Battle Cry, so things that attack get bigger. What you want to do, though, is have multiple Sanguine Evangelists on the battlefield, which is possible to do, and then you want to pair those up with Roaming Throne, and you can actually get like a pretty large army of bats that get extremely big with Battle Cry. You just kind of get a few Sanguine Evangelists onto the battlefield, and then just decide that, alright, this is the turn that I'm going for it, send all your bats and the Evangelists in, and you could punch north of 20 damage pretty quickly, actually. Cruel Celebrant, since we are sacking things and may need to chump block here and there, this is just a good way to drain our opponent a little bit. Bloodghast is just a very efficient vampire that can come back with all of our land drops. We are, in fact, not a fetch land deck because we are in Historic, but we do get to play Phyrexian Towers in order to sacrifice Bloodghast for profit and fun. which will probably... So you can kind of do the thing where if you draw land for turn, you sack your Blood Gas and then bring it back with the land drop. So essentially you get to make an extra black mana with Phyrexian Tower. And the final thing is Dusk Legion Zealot, kind of just a unremarkable card, but is very good because drawing a card and losing a life is really nice for 2 mana when you get a body alongside it. And then if Roaming Throne gets to double that, well, you're already way above curve, or way above rate, that is. The land base basically only needs to provide 3 pips of white among the entire deck, so we're just running 12 things that can produce untapped mana and then also white mana at the same time. And other than that, we're just a full black mana deck. So we're back in Historic. Hopefully we'll have some good games today. Definitely going to be a little bit slower in terms of the decks that we play, but hopefully that will mean that our deck has the time to do what it wants. Always good to come back and see what Historic is what's going on in Historic. Definitely a good format, and there's a lot of history with that format and this channel because that's where I started from. Make sure to like the video and subscribe if you're new for videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and comment and let me know how you like the deck. That's all for me, and I'll see you in round 1. Alright, this is round 1. We have a Village Rites, a Cruel Celebrant, and a Legion Reconsecrator, which is not super great. Village Rites would be good if we had a creature, but I think that we'll take this mulligan before we do anything else, and I already like what we see. I think Preacher of the Schism is good but not great. I mean, I'd really like to play all of these cards, but I think I have to pick a 3-drop. Maybe it's actually the case that I get rid of the Sanguine Evangelist. I think I want to keep 3 lands since I do need to find the 4th for Roaming Throne. I think we'll just go ahead and send it like this. So we'll go tap Shockland. Turn 2, get the Zealot out. Turn 3, get the Preacher of the Schism. Hopefully by then we'll have drawn our 4th land. There is that land that we were hoping for. Here's a Dusk Legion Zealot, and it looks like we are playing Elf Ball. May not necessarily be Elf Ball. They could be ramping to something kind of degenerate. Could be a Karn or something like that eventually. Could be a Kiora as well. Blue-green does like to ramp big. And no, it's just going to be another Mana Dork. Well, we get to do Legion Reconsecrator things potentially if this Dusk Legion Zealot dies on the way in. We'll see if they want to make a trade. I think I might want to just Preacher the Schism instead. That's a better attacker than Legion Reconsecrator. And we have lost connection to the game. That's quite unfortunate. I'll go ahead and restart the game here, and hopefully we will recover pretty quickly. Oh, looks like we were just out of our game. That can't be true, is it? Alright, we're running into an edge case I haven't seen before. It'll be a quick little Alt F4 here to close the game, and we will relaunch, hopefully not taking too long. Hopefully we reconnect in like the first few seconds here, and it won't take too long. Alright, we're back in. Unfortunate, but hopefully our creature was able to make it into the battlefield. Let's see what happened. Okay, we wanted to cast the Preacher of the Schism. There it is. Okay, we're back. Not sure what happened there, but very cool. Opponent's got access to up to 5 mana here. Could be a Nissa? No, it's a Leyline of Abundance. So this is probably just ramp into something big. Got it. So here is probably going to be Roaming Throne. We do want to select Vampire, and this is a situation where we go in with Preacher of the Schism. Oh yeah, that's what we want to see. And it's really nice that we're tied for life here, because I get the absolute most value out of this. Opponent is going to have 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, possibly 8 mana. This could be some sort of Ugin thing, and if that's going to be the case, we are not in a good situation. Kogla the Titan Ape is going to take Preacher of the Schism, which actually just kills Kogla. That didn't really seem to do what they wanted to do. Didn't seem like they did what it wanted to do. So we have access to 4 mana. I can Legion Reconsecrator plus Unearth. That's probably the best usage of all my mana. So we'll get our Preacher back. Welcome home. And I think we just go in for damage here. Try to make sure that they are softened up. They could have a big haymaker turn here. I'm hoping that we can just attack around it. It's going to get kind of close here. Legion Reconsecrator taking a Kogla doesn't seem particularly good, in fact. And Preacher doesn't really want to chump block. So I think this Legion doesn't really hit too much other than the Kogla. Kinnan, whoa. Okay, so big mana here. Titan of Industry, sure. Probably making a 4/4 here. No, they're just going to gain life. Okay. Well, I'm definitely attacking with Preacher of the Schism. I'm not sure that Legion Reconsecrator wants to do anything. Unsure. And Kinnan's going to stick around. Here's another castle. We could Village Right sacking something. We could also just attack in. I think that I probably just go ahead and attack in with, definitely with the Preacher. We'll gain some life. Dusk Legion Zealot's a pretty good one to have in the graveyard. And I think I'll attack with Legion Reconsecrator because I can Village Rights and get back whatever I want to get back here after they make their blocks. So we'll take the Kogla twice. Draw. Alright, there's a Kogla in our graveyard. Let's see how they block. Titan's going to take Legion Reconsecrator. Okay. And I guess that means I probably just want to lose my Dusk Legion Zealot and get that back. Seems good. Another Dusk Legion Zealot. We do get to take some stuff back. Let's take the Kogla and let's take the Dusk Legion Zealot. So there's some creatures. A couple more cards. There's a Kogla. Kogla would really love to fight Titan of Industry, but I don't think that's going to happen. Possibly. Well, I guess it's just going to be take the shield off of Kinnan then. Yeah, I think that's what we want to do. There's Kogla, and then so I can actually unearth Kogla again. Oh no, not CMC3 or less. We want the Legion Reconsecrator, I suppose. Before then, I have to decide what else I want to do, which will probably just be another Legion Reconsecrator. Because I can block, pick up Kogla, kill Kinnan. Zealot's also good, but I think I want to unearth this other Reconsecrator. So it's going to be like this. Bang, unearth, take back the Legion Reconsecrator. Unfortunately, that leaves us still at 7 cards in hand, so we can't discard the Bloodghasts, but after my next attack, it's pretty likely that we should be able to. Here goes Kinnan. Let's see what they put onto the battlefield. Endur's Forerunners. I believe that means that I'm going to be hurting pretty heavily here. We would love to kill the Kinnan. And then, other than this, everything's got trample. Can make a trade here. We would take 16 damage here. And then we'd attack in for lethal, right? Oh no, they have vigilance. This is fine. I think this is just until end of turn. We'll be able to put some damage in. Okay, so clearly I did my math wrong because of trample. What an absolute L. Whoops. I think this is kind of an interesting game to keep in regardless. The right idea then was to block with Roaming Throne and then try to get it back somehow. But that really just kills the potency of my deck, so we may not have even come back from that. Regardless, got to see what a single Roaming Throne was able to do. Preacher of the Schism showed up. Legion Reconsecrator showed up. So yeah, some shines of greatness here. Hopefully the next games have a little bit more of a glimmer for us. So let's hop into round 2 and go for another one. Alright, this is round 2. Opponent's got a Goblin Avatar here. Makes me feel some type of way. We have the opportunity to get some Sanguine Evangelists onto the battlefield, and I'm really excited by that idea. Dusk Legion Zealots represent some cards and some blockers. So I like the way that things are looking. I like these little sleeves the opponent's got there. They're very cute. Been rocking these things for forever. I might have to change them at some point. Getting tired. But it is nice to rep all the colors of Magic. Anyway, opponent on Fabled Passage for Mountain might be some sort of strategy that involves goblins. We will see. Draw a card, lose a life. That is not the land that we wanted. We'll have essentially 2 draws to work with. I'm fine for them to kill this thing, so this might just be damage-based control. Red-white. Oh, nice. Arm Scavenger. This is, what do you call it? Hammer. We'll pay 2 life, and then do I want Legion or Sanguine Evangelist? I want Sanguine Evangelist. Doesn't make sense to attack with Dusk Legion Zealot. That's probably going to need to be here for blocks. Let's see if they find the hammer here. They get to look at 3 cards, I believe, is how drafting works. That is not it. Mask of Immolation. Perfect. Where is it? Yeah, it just makes deals the damage to any target. That's actually kind of annoying for me. Not gonna lie. It is what it is, sure. Looks like they'll take my Sanguine Evangelist at some point if they decide they want to do it. Looks like they'll crack it off right away. Luckily, we are able to unearth that at any point, and we will get our Bat token on the way out. Honestly, not bad value. Be able to hit for 2 a turn starting now, and we have another Sanguine Evangelist on the way. What I'd like to do, though, is probably play Dusk Legion Zealot, and then if I can find a land, that means I can play Bloodghast, and if I can't, that means I get to Godless Shrine. Fervent Champion. Is it going to ping something? Doesn't seem so. Here's a land. That means this is probably Sanguine Evangelist, get back Sanguine Evangelist, possibly. Or we can go Legion Reconsecrator. That actually might be better. I only have 1 thing in the graveyard. Let's attack in with the Flyers. See if they want to sack the Fervent Champion. They'll let it happen. And I gotta think for a sec. Legion Reconsecrator, I mean, obviously is not going to do anything once I take the Sanguine Evangelist out of the graveyard, so I think we'll just go with double Sanguine for now. We got a lot of 1/1s, or a lot of X1s. Looks like Fervent Champion's going to take that out. Let's go for Unearth on the other Sanguine Evangelist. We're just getting in there. And yeah, we'll pass. Opponent decides to hold on that Fervent Champion. I mean, if we're allowed to attack here, we just hit for quite a lot of damage. Sword of Fire and Ice. Yeah, okay. Well, we're going to want to not let that... We're going to want to avoid that hitting me for any damage. Just put one of these away. And this will be a good attack. We can go Legion Reconsecrator plus Dusk Legion Zealot. Preacher of the Schism, perfectly. We definitely want to keep this out. That will kind of get Fervent Champion a little bit scared of attacking, which is great. We'll attack win with everything, take the trade on Armed Scavenger. And this will be a lot of damage. That is 12 damage to face. 15 actually, even with the block. They actually just take the Dusk Legion Zealot, which doesn't make sense, but they're at 3 now. I have 2 chump blockers for Fervent Champion. Seems pretty good. We just have to make sure that that sword doesn't connect. Fun to see archetypes like Equipment still floating around in Historic. Like I've always said, there are pairs of formats whereas you might be thinking of something like, you know, the Modern versus the Legacy and Vintage. we kind of have a similar relationship between historic and timeless in the sense that you see a lot more experimentation in historic, and then you see more of an established meta when you play timeless. Regardless, it looks like we are pretty close to taking them out here. Fatal Push can take out Fervent Champion, but I think we'll just go ahead and attack all in. We get a trigger on Preacher of the Schism and Sanguine Evangelist, finding our next Sanguine Evangelist. Fatal Push would take out Fervent Champion, and then if by some miracle they survive, we have Sanguine Evangelist number 3 coming back in. Alright, that was both a good demonstration of just a historic slogfest and a good demonstration of what this deck wants to do. We didn't get the Roaming Throne out, but it's definitely nice to see Sanguine Evangelists come back through our Unearths. It's good to see Preacher of the Schism get out. All these things are great. I think that was a really nice round 2. Let's hop into round 3. All right, round 3. Here we go. We like this hand, I think. Mainly just because of the Roaming Throne. That kind of does a lot for me. I think that it's good. It's kind of good once we get Bloodghast in and start doing our thing. I mean, I'm going to try it. Why not? We don't really do anything until Bloodghast gets in because, unfortunately, we need our Village Rites to have a creature to sack. But hopefully, it would actually be very convenient to sack Bloodghast and then find our third land on the next turn. We will see if that gets to happen for us. We get to look at 3 cards, essentially, off of this next hand. Tiny Bones. How interesting. Not a common card to see. Let's see if they would want to sack their Tiny Bones before they start making us discard. So that's good. We get to do this. Now, I would really love to be able to discard my other Bloodghast. Unfortunately, I need to attempt to find a land. We do find the land, so that's going to mean Bloodghast comes back. And then, do we play other Bloodghast or Village Rites here? I think we probably just go for Village Rites. See if we can pick up a next land drop. Or, like, an important creature, like Preacher of the Schism would be a great one. Unearth, I guess, can take Bloodghast again. Do we want to do that? I suppose. Alright. So, a lot of flickering in and out of play, but we do have a 2-1 to their 1-2. Unfortunately, ours can't block. And we want to avoid discarding, which we're probably going to have to do now. Let's get rid of the Bloodghast. They get to make a creature because of Waste Not, which is annoying, but it's going to have to happen. It'll trade with our Bloodghast, but honestly, we're not too sad about that. Tiny Bones should have attacked there, but did not. Love to see when that happens. Here comes a Bloodghast back, which actually should have happened after combat. I'm losing out on bringing this Bloodghast that's about to attack in. Shoot. I think Preacher of the Schism is the next move. Let's do that. And then Sanguine Evangelist can come back as well. Let's attack in. See if they make this block with Waste Not. Yep, seems like they do. I think this is a situation where we want to unearth, taking Sanguine. Alright, now we have blockers, true blockers. We're going to probably need to discard something. I'd like to keep a Roaming Throne after all is said and done. We'll see if that is allowed to happen. That is 2 unearths out of the way. Get rid of the... Oh, man, but like Legion or Consecrator. I think I have to get rid of one of the Roaming Thrones. It is what it is. We do need to have our reanimation aspect. Plus I can get back the Roaming Throne that we discarded, so it's not all sad. Let's go Legion or Consecrator because we can exile... Well, okay, they don't have anything in the graveyard. I think I'm still playing Legion or Consecrator regardless. Because I want that thing to be able to attack after we put in the Roaming Throne. So, what needs to attack in? Preacher would be a good one. They would need to block with everything. And then Bloodghast may as well go in. Nice, we got that land. That block makes sense. And will Preacher block damage? Yes, it will. Okay, cool. I mean, I'm all for keeping their hand a little awkward. Let's put a, for sure, white mana source in here. And now we get to actually use our Bloodghasts. Perfect. This is what's supposed to happen. We'll do that and then drop a Cruel Celebrant, and the next turn, when our Legion Reconsequator possibly dies, or we at least get this roaming thrown in, Cruel Celebrant plus all the other cards that's in this deck can start to function. Getting 4 power every turn with Bloodghast seems pretty great. We just have to continue to draw lands. Opponent does need to click through this. Hopefully they have not decided that my time is better wasted than playing the game. Worst comes to worst, maybe we'll just have to call this one here and move on to the next round. I'll give them maybe 10-20 seconds here. If they start roping me out, we'll go ahead and decide to move on to round 4. I think more or less we've done what we wanted to do. Would really like to see Roaming Throne come out with this Legion Reconsecrator dying and then bringing back the other Roaming Throne. That'd be pretty cool. But yeah, okay, looks like our opponent's just going to rope us out here. It is what it is. Sometimes in the more casual formats, people are like that. But good round 3. Let's do round 4 here and hope that our next opponent sticks around to let us demonstrate what our deck can do. Here we go. So funnily enough, it actually looks like it was my own client's desync that was the problem. Sorry I said those things about my opponent if you would happen to be watching this video. Sometimes, well, I'm on the new, well, quote-unquote new. I'm trying out the Steam client for Magic Arena, and launching from Steam just seems to be kind of buggy. I've never really had problems with the Youch, Crux of Fate. Well, here's some Cruel Celebrant triggers to do some stuff with. What do I want to bring back? I guess Cruel Celebrant would be good, but Sanguine Evangelist is just solid. Let's do that. Anyway, they're at 10. Let's go Roaming Throne. That double triggers Sanguine Evangelist, and okay, now opponent's gone. Anyway, as I was saying, yeah, trying out the Steam client for running MTGA. I've kind of been developing the opinion that I like the standalone version more, so maybe you'll see me switch back to that in the future. It's just nice to have it alongside. Steam is nice, but I just don't like all the pop-ups that you get when friends start to play stuff. I know you can kind of control that, but I've never really gotten around to setting that up myself, so we'll see if the original MTGA client makes a return. But in the meantime, that was round 4. 5th and final round coming up here. We're definitely getting some interesting games. Hoping for one more good one here as we round out the series. I'll see you in round 5. Alright, we have the final round coming up now. Blood Celebrants, or Cruel Celebrants, and Bloodghasts, just off of black mana. Can't really work with that, unfortunately. Fatal Push, Unearth, Sanguine Evangelist. I'm not like super crazy about this hand, but I usually don't think I want to go very far down on lands for this. Let's put one of these in tapped, and we have a turn 3 play. I hope my opponent plays something here that we want to kill. They do not. In fact, it's a waste, which means they are planning to ramp to something big. Well, we might as well play all of the things that we can play. This Unearth is really not worth cycling, I don't think. I'd rather use it as a reanimation card. There's Mind Stone. It's going to happen. I think our opponent is on a very good path in order to be able to ramp up quickly. In terms of dealing damage, Sanguine Evangelist is probably the best. Fatal Push plus Unearth is kind of a thing that could work for us on this next turn. There's Aetherflux Reservoir. They are going to be gaining some absolute life. The Roaming Throne now is my best play. And we will get in for our Sanguine Evangelist triggers, double triggers at the very least. Fortunately, it does not buff itself. Next is going to have to be Legion Reconsecrator, which doesn't necessarily do anything even when it does get to attack since nothing's in the graveyard. Opponents on some Cheerios Storm variant where they probably want to discount their spells one or more times through Semblance Anvils. Generally, you just get to the point where you have a bunch of 4-cost things that need to be reduced to 0 in order to effectively go off. So we're not necessarily dead. I do see a lot of 2s happening, but we can survive. Just some scries on the tomes. This does not seem to be the most potent version of this deck. A lot of the ones that would run the 4-drops and pretty much just Mind Stones and Hedron Archives, I think those are probably the quote-unquote better versions of these decks, but we will see. The game is not over yet, so let's go for Legion Reconsecrator. I mean, it just is damage, and then we'll attack in, and I think we want to just Village Rite something. Battlecry. Now we actually do hit for quite a lot, and that is 10 damage. Sanguine Evangelist is probably not a good thing to have with Summoning Sickness next turn, so I think I gotta hold Village Rites until they destroy something or something else happens. I need Village Reconsecrator to be able to attack, though. That gives me some flexibility with at instant speed making Roaming Throne a 3-1 in my graveyard. That could deal with a Ugin or something weird that they decide to play. This is actually just Forsaken Monument, so we are well within our ability to get a kill here. Just kind of depends on what they scry into and then draw with Mind Stone. Only 1 mana to work with here, so we might just have it. Oh yeah, I think we're good. This should be a lethal attack. Just a Mind Stone for free. That does ramp them for 1. 15 damage. Now they're looking a little bit out of the range for us. I think we're just not going to do anything here. Another Roaming Throne, though, might do it. Here's it on Vampire. Nothing's in the graveyard, sadly, but we will just go ahead and attack in. That is triple Exile, triple Battlecry. That is going to be enough. Nice. Yeah, well, that's only half of the Roaming Thrones that we have in our deck, and look at how much damage we were able to push. I think there's some cool upside to this kind of deck. I did try it in Timeless for probably a good bit. Probably played like around 10-ish games with it. I think that ultimately the cards that you get in Timeless and the curve that you want to play this deck at is really kind of at odds with each other. Like, you can get the Dark Rituals, but that doesn't help you cast your white pip spells. And the Sanguine Evangelist in particular is an important one to get out. So I think that the tutoring that you get with Demonic Tutor and the extra mana that you get with Dark Ritual really just don't help this deck out as much as it helps out other strategies. So for that reason, I think Historic probably makes the most sense for this kind of archetype. And I think that it more or less held its own today. It was fast enough to get kills, and even in the face of board wipes, there are a lot of ways to get value from there, and you can kind of bounce back quickly with the Legion Reconsecrator and Unearths. So that was round 5. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. This was a really fun one for me to edit. Oh wait, sorry, no, this is round 4 because I'm just looking at my recording queue here, and because the last round had a little interjection, that was my that makes this the 5th recording. So in fact, it actually turns out that we have one more round here and one more attempt to make a good showing of this deck. So I'll go ahead and see you guys in the true round 5. Alright, good thing I caught myself there, otherwise I would have had to re-record after I did my outro. So this is the true round 5, and we have that whole Bloodgust into Village Rites kind of deal, and eventually that means that we'll get a Roaming Throne out. I mean, this is like not the quickest hand, but we really don't play a lot of 1-drops, so getting started on turn 3 is like not the end of the world. We will go for something a little bit better here, and we do find it. I think this is nice. We have to decide what we're getting rid of, though. And I think it's Legion Reconsecrator because I don't see a lot of things going to the graveyard right away. Possibly Cruel Celebrant. We'll see if we want to do that to our Village Rites, but it's probably going to be the case that we want to play Preacher of the Schism first and then use its token to get the Village Rites going. At least that's how I see it being mapped out right now. I probably don't want to put away the Fatal Push. We'll probably just go like this and get rid of the Legion Reconsecrator. Seems good. So that means we can put our tapped land in first. Maybe the Cruel Celebrant can poke at our opponent a little bit. Oh, or maybe it can't because we're playing Striking Sliver and the Slivers deck. We want to bias towards black mana here. This is just for first strike. We can combat Trick starting next turn, especially if we don't draw our land. Cavernous Souls doesn't matter for me, but things like this Predatory Sliver do. So we'll probably try to play this Fatal Push combat Trick next turn. Definitely not blocking this. And here's a Village Rites, so yeah, we're probably going to just need to do this Fatal Push thing. No attacks, say go, pass. Another Predatory Sliver hurts a lot. Let's see if that's what they have. Fatal Push, take Predatory Sliver. Kill that, and then block the Cruel Celebrant. And we're going to be hoping to draw land. They don't actually play anything. How crazy. We do find the land. That means Preacher of the Schism comes out. I'm going to attack in. And all of a sudden, we're not feeling terrible anymore. Roaming Throne is a great draw if we find a land. Or it's a great play, rather, if we find a land. If we don't, then it's just Preacher of the Schism. We are down life here, so we do get to just get the Vampire Creature tokens. If they somehow take a damage, then we feel really good. It's just going to be a Diffusion Sliver, so I'm glad that we used that Fatal Push early. Let's go ahead and attack in. See what we can do. We get our 1/1. See if they want to make a block. That is quite understandable here. Let's Village Rites, taking rid of this. Drain our opponent for 1. That actually just puts us further in terms of the mana that we got going over here, or the life difference. Cruel Celebrant gets the block. Diffusion Sliver is going to do what it does. Fatal Push might be the move eventually. Crap. Okay, so now Diffusion Sliver makes my Fatal Push just about unusable. I think that Legion Reconsecrator is probably going to start being good. I'm going to attack. We find our land. That probably just means I play Roaming Throne. If not this turn, then next turn. I think it would make sense to do Legion Reconsecrator. I just want them to double block. That's all I want to see. That is not something that makes sense in my opinion. Village Rites. I could just Fatal Push the other Diffusion Sliver. I don't know what I want to do. Fatal Push, it can't be held up with Legion Reconsecrator. I think I'd just go for Roaming Throne, possibly. No, we need to make something I can attack. Alright, I've made up my mind. Here we go. We'll end turn. Say go. Leeching Sliver. So that's going to be a problem eventually. For now, it is what it is. If they attack, we block. Alright, get to our turn. Say go. Sanguine Evangelist. Okay. Nice to know that that's around. Here's Roaming Throne, though. We will choose Vampire. Do I want to put anything into the graveyard? Not really sure, but Diffusion Sliver could be a nice take. We'll attack. Slivers. We'll take the Predatory Sliver. We'll also take the Diffusion Sliver, so if they get that Unearthed Sliver, we'll be okay. Alright, so if they kill Legion of Consecrator, we get 2 of their slivers back, and we get to start doing our own sliver things. They're going to be in a bit of a troublesome situation here. They need to find their 5-mana sliver. Village Rites can take out something at any point, put them down to 0 because of Roaming Throne, right? No, they get put down to 2. Math is bad. A second Roaming Throne makes each Cruel Celebrant 3. Okay. Belligerent Sliver. Okay. Alright, and we got it. Kind of a funky game there. They didn't seem to have the deck construction to really pop off. And maybe it's a sign of a semi-lower powered format. But, you definitely do not play against the top of the line Cloud Shredders and Sliver Hive Queen or whatever it's called. But regardless, that brings us to the end of round 5 here. It's been a good set of games today, I'd say. A lot of interesting situations that this deck got itself into. We got to see it doing the aggro perspective. We got to see it kind of when it got board wiped and had to rebuild. and we kind of got to see what a mess of tangled triggers our opponents had to deal with, and in most situations could not. So I think this is a just fine historic deck. It would be really nice to see this kind of archetype have some power that could be ported over to Timeless, but I'm just really not of the opinion that it can be done just yet. So for now, enjoy this deck. Make sure to check out the deck list in the video description. Do like the video and comment. Let me know if you tried it and how it did. And subscribe if you're new for videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. With that being said, that's all from me, and I will see you in the next video.